G'day, folks. Today I'm going to go through my 2023 AFL Draft Power Rankings top 25. So, at the end of last year for ESPN, I did a quick top 10, and I just did some quick profiles on there for you to read if you want a bit more insight. But today, what I'm going to do is go through a top 25 just so that people, I guess, have a view or have, I guess, a list of names that they can basically watch during the season if they want to watch some junior footy, and also have a bit of a feel as well for, well, who are some of the names that might be read out at the end of the year, and what are some of the types available in this year's draft as well. So, before going through the names as well, I thought I'd quickly as well go through some of the draft dynamics that I'm noticing with the 2023 AFL draft. So, as probably most of you have realized over time, there's always really distinct dynamics with each draft. So, with the 2022 draft, one of the really, I guess, interesting components was it's such a midfielder heavy draft that, say, if you're a super coach or AFL fantasy coach out there, well, you're going to have a very easy time filling up your rookies in the midfield in particular, because there's just so many of them that are so capable and will be year one ready and are year one ready. So you'll see a lot of them have an impact right away. And I can tell you that before round one, just because I've really seen so much of them and I know really how good so many of them are. But what's different with the 2023 draft, and there's a few people out there calling it a super draft, but what makes this a really unique draft is that it's not really a midfielder heavy draft at all. What really there is quite a lot of is guys who are really good as forwards, and there's a lot of really good defenders as well. So, and you've got a good mix of tools. Last year there was really almost nothing in the way of tools aside from sort of two or three. But yeah, this year we've actually got, at this point at least, quite a number of good tools. One word of caution though with tools is that a year out, you can rate a key position player or a ruckman as a top 10 prospect, and they might go undrafted. Or you could put together a top 30 and they could be a top 1 or 2 pick. So Aaron Cadman, obvious example last year. If anyone put together a top 30 a year out from the draft, they wouldn't have had Cadman in their top 30, I can't imagine. I certainly didn't. I don't know anyone else who did. And it'd be the same story with a Jackson Broadbent as a ruckman last year. He was at least as far as I'm aware, consensus top 10 pick a year out from the draft, but he went undrafted. So that sort of thing happens. And with the tools, I just really want to make clear before I go through this list that it's really that rate of improvement and that quality of play in that draft year that's so important, because with the tools, you're projecting all those years ahead. So they're the sort of, I guess, disclaimers before I go into this year's draft. So first up, we've got Harley Reid, and a bit like Will Ashcroft a year out, it's going to be incredibly hard to see anyone topping Harley Reid as the number one pick. With Harley Reid, he is, in my opinion at least, a blend of Dustin Martin and Luke Hodge. And he's deserving of being in that conversation with that caliber of football player, at least for this age and stage. So with a Reid, you can play him any position on the field and he's going to impact games heavily. So whether you play him as a forward, you can put him one out in the goal square, he's going to take advantage of guys one-on-one. You can put an accomplished key defender on him and he's going to take advantage one-on-one. He's just that good. And you can put him in defense, he's going to intercept, he's going to run the whole defense, and he's going to generate meaningful drive. And you can put him through the midfield, he'll win it, he'll do his thing. So you can really put him anywhere, and he's going to cause problems. So it does not worry me in the slightest that he is so good in so many positions. I would usually say of players, they need to be great in at least one position. But with Reid, well, he's great in every, I guess, part of the field. So you can do whatever you want with him, have any vision with him, and you're going to get a great footballer at the end of the day. So again, for the age and stage, he's one of the most advanced I've seen, in the conversation with the most advanced. So, and that's really saying something, since I've been watching the juniors since 2009 with regularity. So Daniel Curtin is my number 2, so key defender. Really strong one-on-one player, can turn his one-on-ones into intercept marks, but great reader, great interceptor, generates meaningful drive with both his run and kick, But yeah, really athletic, super quick, has the agility, has the evasion. So having those traits as a key defender is really something rare, and I think he's going to be a really special key defender. I'd be very surprised if he's not a top 5 pick at the end of the year. He's just that good. So, name to be very, very aware of in Curtin. Ashton Wah, dynamic, incredible forward. So, marking threat, incredible aerially, has the ground level craft, goal sneak, but you can put him through the midfield as well, and he's going to cause problems and run a riot. So, for those looking for a quick comparison, he's something like this draft's Wingard equivalent, I suppose. So, he's looking like a really good player in the long run if he keeps developing and keeps improving. Because certainly last year, he really showed during the under-18 champs that, he's going to be a good footballer. Will Lorenz, in terms of pure midfielders, I think he's probably the best of the lot. But he's got the contested side, he's got the speed, agility, has the ball use, and likes a goal, hits the scoreboard. So, there's a lot to like with Lorenz, and I'd probably say he could even sort of push for this sort of 2 or 3 in this group if I was to do another power rankings at the end of the year, let's say. So, certainly one to watch for the Victorian watchers out there aside from Reed. He's that probably other one I really, really like at this stage. Zane Dersma, probably of the Victorians, a lot of people would rate him as the second best Victorian, and brother of Xavier, I should mention as well for the Port Adelaide fans out there. But there's no brother rule, I suppose. So it'll be hard to see him joining Port Adelaide if they have a good year, because I think Dersma's going to be an early pick. With a Dersma, really athletic, high leaper, strong mark. He's great forward of centre. So that's where he's really done his most damage. But look, you can put him through the midfield. He'll win his own ball. Really quick as well. So you've got a lot of tricks there with the Dersma as well. Jed Walter, he's one of my favourite players to watch in this year's draft, and I think he'll probably be quite a few people's favourite to watch. But he's such an unusual player in that he's hugely built, really strong, wins his one-on-ones, contested marking force, uses his body so aggressively, crashes packs, just bowls guys over. But then in terms of the straight line speed as well, I don't know if I've seen anyone quicker in a straight line. It's that sort of Tony Lockett-esque sort of straight line speed. So you let him either get into a foot race or get him on the lead, and he's going to cause problems. Strong overhead, got the contested marking. What I would say is that because he's so big and powerful and whatnot, he really lacks agility. So that is the one downside, where he just doesn't have a turning circle at all. It's like an old Volvo sort of thing. So I'd say, I guess that's the thing he could probably work on. But certainly incredibly advanced. He was under 18 All-Australian last year. So one of the most advanced, certainly at this stage. And hopefully he takes another step this year, because he's looking like a really good player. Nick Watson, I look at him, so he's sub 170, maybe over the break he's grown to 170 or thereabouts. But he plays like a miniature Toby Green is how I describe him. Super aggressive, really has a crack, so he's a joy to watch. And he's probably one of the players where I'd actually probably say, other than Harley Reid, I probably get the next most questions about Nick Watson, just because everyone really loves the way he plays. And it shouldn't come as a surprise at all. He's probably the next most advanced aside from Reid, honestly, in this draft. But as a forward, even at sub 170, you can actually isolate him one-on-one in the goal square if you want to, and he can be that number one option, which is quite funny to watch sometimes. But good overhead, great at ground level, has all the skills, just finds a way to win it. And he hits the scoreboard in bunches and would be an easy fit into a front half. And for those worried, don't worry about him being sub 170. There's no height caps as forwards. You can have great sort of small forwards that are sub 170. Doesn't matter in the slightest. And the fact that he actually plays taller than his height as well probably works to his advantage, because it means he doesn't have those flaws in terms of that sort of lack of marking side, because he can take a mark as well as be that sort of ground level threat who can really hit the scoreboard in bunches. So really like watching him. No guarantee at year's end he's necessarily a top 10 pick, but certainly at this stage, it's hard to say he's not one of the most advanced. He's a really good footballer. Probably I'd say there's a clear defined, if I was to do tiers, I'd say Reid is a clear one, then that probably 2 to 7 is my next group. And then from there, I'm probably deciding on sort of from here, okay, these guys I might not necessarily rate as highly the rest of the year, but there's still some really good players in this group who could easily push into this top group up here. So for those looking for that feel, if after sort of like a sort of tier list of sorts, I suppose. But yeah, with a Tholstrup, look, really good sort of speed. You can play him whether it's as a forward or as a mid, and he's got that speed agility combo, just really takes on the game. Yeah, good at ground level, good kick, good mark. So there's some of the things to look for. So there's a lot of attributes there that are really promising. With a Jack Deline, really good marking forward, and he's been really good for a few years now. So, but yeah, strong overhead, good aerially, pretty good at ground level as well. The one thing that he does better than probably anyone in this draft is just set shot goal kicking, where he's one of those guys where it feels like this isn't necessarily reflective of the numbers, and I'd have to look up what the numbers are, but it feels like, at least from set shots, he'd be one of those guys where 9 out of 10 times he's going to slot it from anywhere. So that's always a good thing. So probably a bit similar actually to a Jack Billings at the same age, funnily. So it'll be interesting to see if he develops the capacity to push higher up the ground, in addition to just having that sort of forward craft and being that really good forward, because Billings as a junior was a forward who similarly sort of caused problems. And Deline as well, I'd say, is really quite good one-on-one as well. So, yeah, real big threat as a forward. Nate Caddy, so nephew of Josh Caddy. So, yeah, former Richmond player, of course, and actually someone who's been across a few teams. But, yeah, with a Caddy is quite a bit taller, so he's in the probably mid-190s, I'd say. But, yeah, really aggressive player is the thing that really sort of stands out with me, where he's one of those guys where he crashes packs, takes bodies, but really a threat overhead. That's his real sort of strength, and really good athlete as well. To, I guess, bring out my biggest critique, I would say his ground level craft really does need a bit of work, where he can be quite fumbly at times. And I'd be interested to see, can he develop the capacity as well to push through the midfield? It's sort of been speculated given sort of the aggression, and maybe there's that chance. But yeah, look, he's a threat certainly forward of centre. Archer Reed, so younger brother of Essendon's Zach. And with Archer, he's really mostly a key forward. You can play him through the ruck as well. So they're the options you've got. But yeah, really good marking forward. That's his big strength. Really good athlete, moves quite well. And yeah, good leaper. So there's some of the things to look at there. I'd say with Reed, look, is sometimes an inconsistent performer, where he can have some big games and then other games where he can be a little bit invisible. So he'll really need to develop that consistency and become that regularly dominant player in this coming year, particularly as a key forward. So they're the things to be aware of. But he's one of those guys where when he's having a good game, he's best on ground good. So he can be a real problem. And with his height, as with his brother, is that sort of 2 meters and a little bit sort of key forward, or his brother obviously key defender who can ruck as well, but with Archer, will key forward. So yeah, having that height, look, hopefully he shows that development, because that's going to be really the key as to where he lands. Because look, if he doesn't improve, well, he's not necessarily getting drafted, but he's got the scope to be one of the best in this draft if he really develops well in this coming year and really continues that development going forward, which is, again, just such a key with those key forwards. Mitch Edwards, really promising ruckman, about 205 centimetres. Possible he's grown over the off-season. Last year he was 205 centimetres. So you've got a huge ruck. Freo NGA, so obviously if it's a top 40 pick, well, Fremantle don't get first access to him. So we'll have to see how he develops over the year. But yeah, really good height, good tap ruckman, moves pretty well, quite mobile. So shared the ruck duties last year with Jackson Broadbent. So that sort of meant he didn't always necessarily get the full ruck minutes. But yeah, with, I guess, that full ruck opportunity, I'm expecting big things from him this year. His one look, I guess I would have considered possibly for a top 10 spot, but yeah, I'm just not confident enough on rucks a year out. You really need that extra year of evidence of that rate of development because that's just so important with the ruckman. So, yeah, that's something I'd say to be aware of. Luau, really like the look of him. Very athletic defender. Really has his moments. Reminds me a bit of a Jayath where, look, great leaper, great interceptor, but then really takes on the game with his run as well. So, not necessarily a guy who gets huge numbers, but he provides huge impact. And that's why I've got him this high and probably quite a lot higher than I suggest other draft boards would have him at this point. So certainly one to watch, I would be saying. Will Patton, I look at him as really sort of that intercepting defender, quite good by foot as well. So quite advanced for his age. With her Phylactes, I'd be saying he's really got that speed, pace, takes on the game really well. You can put him through the midfield as well when he can find the footy. Riley Sanders, speedy mid, good left foot, can generate quite a bit of drive. The next names I'll sort of go through a bit quicker. You probably don't need too much detail once we get past that sort of top, I'd say probably 13. I really like my 13, and then from there, there's guys where, look, they could be first rounders or they could go undrafted is really, again, for a quick and dirty feel, how I see this group. So we'll have to see sort of how they develop during the year. But it does look like quite a deep draft, so things could change quite a bit. With Archie Roberts, I think I went through Sanders last, so Archie Roberts. So good interceptor, good kick. Ship, good interceptor, uses it well from defence. McKercher, so he's someone who's made the move over from Tassie to Victoria this year. So I believe he'll be going to Melbourne Grammar. So, but yeah, he'll still be representing the Allies during the under-18 champs, and I believe Tasmania as well. So be aware of that. But yeah, speedy mid, penetrating kick. But yeah, you can certainly rack it up as well. Hardiman, really sort of that running outside type, really racks it up and has a good sort of speed endurance combination. So yeah, something potentially developable there. McAuliffe, sort of, I guess, a two-way running mid, but can also go forward and hit the scoreboard as well. What you'll notice here is we've got another 2 Gold Coast Academy players, so that makes 3 inside the top 25 on my board. So yeah, so I guess that's reason for optimism for Suns fans out there. But yeah, with a Reed, I look at him as, I guess, is a capable tap ruckman and can be quite good through there. But then as a forward as well, quite athletic, can take a grab. So there's scope to improve. But yeah, he's not necessarily a top-end prospect at this stage. Still quite raw, still developing and needs a bit of improvement. So with a Rogers, sort of one of those speedy, evasive, good at ground level types where, look, you can play him whether it's forward, through the midfield. You've got those options with him. Caden Cleary, so now we've got a Sydney Academy player, can really rack it up, find it, win his own footy, generates quite a bit of drive with his speed as well, so really speedy. If he was a better ball user, I'd consider having him higher, but yeah, that's the reason why he's probably a bit lower than his production would necessarily say would be the case. And then with a Frangalis, you're looking at a really sort of aggressive midfielder, takes on the game with his run, and can win the footy as well. Thanks for watching, folks. And for those of you that haven't watched my previous video about my decision to retire, that might be worth checking out. But yeah, just in short, this year I've decided to retire from sports journalism. And basically I will be exclusive to YouTube and Twitter. So yeah, if you like my content, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell for updates whenever I produce videos. Basically this year I won't be watching nearly as much junior footy nor AFL or even state league footy for that matter. The reason being is I really want to focus on my health, and in terms of financial reward as well, I'm finding in terms of time allocation, I can spend a lot less time on investing for much greater financial reward. So for those reasons primarily, I've made the decision to yeah, basically give up sports journalism. So But look, I will be producing more content for this channel. Today I'm actually recording, and what I'll do, I'll go one video each day. I'll just sort of put up on YouTube. But yeah, I'm doing a redo of the 2021 AFL draft, and I'm also doing a combined 2021 and 2022 draft. So I'll do a top 10, and then I'll do like a merge top 10 to make like a top 20, I suppose. So, yeah, so hopefully that interests some of the draft watchers out there. I've also got a few Super Coach and AFL fantasy related videos coming, so I'll record them following on from this video as well. So, yeah, I'll just basically load up one video, I guess, which will go up per day, just so then you're not just bombarded with everything all at once. Just even though I just sort of wanted to, I guess, on my end, churn it out all at once. But yeah, and then in terms of during the season, look, I'm not sure what or how much content I plan to produce during the season, but certainly things in the future that I do plan to do is I really want to do a comprehensive draft redo process. So really look at drafts past. I may go back really quite a long way through drafts, but I really want to do a proper redo and really good analysis behind it around things that beyond just getting the order right of the players, but also really going through, well, what are some of the key learnings that we can take from this, and what are really some of, I guess, the processes that really AFL clubs could improve quite substantially on. So there'll be some of the focuses with that when I get around to that. So that may be during the season, it may be in the post-season. So yeah, that's something to certainly look forward to. But yeah, I will probably still be producing, other than that, just more sort of general, I suppose, draft and AFL trade content. But it probably won't be in nearly the same depth. And given I'll be watching quite a bit less football, I'll quite likely be quite a bit less opinionated. So maybe some people look forward to that more than others. But yeah, anyway, folks, see you in the next video.